Matt has been a Toastmaster for a little over a year, and tonight he will be giving his 10th speech, which is actually Project 7, Getting Good with Visual Aids. He's working with transitioning military and veterans to help them with the new mindset needed to be successful. Help me welcome Matt Ditsworth.
Thank you. I'll keep it here, yeah. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I get the honor tonight of talking with you about some important events in life. I inadvertently made this, wrote this speech based on some other ideas, and then find out that we have a theme of goals tonight. So I know that all Toastmasters, people join because they want to help people, they want to help themselves, and they want to further the advancement of humans, I guess you could say. We all want to do better for each other. How many of you have made decisions that maybe led to success and some to failure, right? By show of hands. We've had a little bit of both, right? Each of those shows a bit of patterns in how you think and how your learning model works. That's what I'm going to talk about tonight. One thing that I do, after examining, I learned this. I didn't know it at the time, but one thing that I do is that as soon as I get close to a goal, I find other things to distract me. And I heard another speech talking about squirrels. Every time the dog saw a squirrel, it ran off towards the squirrel and then came back. But I usually end up coming back at some point. That's what happened with the Competent Communicator, which is what I'm working on. That's 10 speeches. And just as I got close to my 10th speech, I always pick a different role so that I didn't have to do the speech. And so that's why I end up here tonight doing my 10th speech. I procrastinated. That's my learning model of basically of failure, because I learned that I do that. That's a pattern that I have. So tonight I would like to take you through the steps on finding out about how your patterns work. So I'm going to slide this here. Can I erase? Does everybody have the word of the day here? I handed you a piece of paper, blank piece of paper. So if you would, take out a pen, put it so it's landscaped like this, draw a line from one end to the other. It doesn't have to be straight. Can it be squiggly like this one? It's even better if it's squiggly. Up in the top left corner, write learn. And in the bottom left corner, write event. Okay. And as I'm talking, if you think about some events in your life, I'm going to show you how to put them on this timeline. If you think about them as I'm speaking, feel free, please take the notes down as we talk. On this end, write the number 0. That's when you were born. And on this end, write the number that you claim to be. Or that you are, actually. All right? It's up to you on how you want to do it. Basically, this timeline brings you all the way up till tonight. All right? My first event that I'll put on here is about age 10. Okay? And you could do it however you want, but the way that I'll put the event is in a box. And it was a karate tournament. So put an event or whatever, however you want to write it so that it reminds you about what it is. The lesson I learned from that was to face my fear. Face my fears, because I found out that I could go do something even though I was afraid. I could do it afraid or do it scared, as it said. So that was my lesson learned. I didn't know that as I was 10 years old. I just did it because I was basically mentored to do that at the time. At age 17, I joined the Marine Corps instead of the Army. I was going to join the Army. That was my whole basis. And I was going to join the Army because everybody else joined the Army. Except I changed at the last minute and joined the Marine Corps because I was following my heart. I actually wanted to join the Marines. I stuck my head in the sergeant's door, and he called me in there, and I joined. So it was like I sent the vibes in there. But I learned that I could follow my heart. Then at about age 25, I got out of the Marines. again, to follow my heart to become a law enforcement officer. But I learned that being a law enforcement officer wasn't something that I wanted to do, but it was definitely a path that I had to take in order to learn some skills and in order to meet people that still influence me to this day. So again, here I learned that lesson of taking the path to the end. Now this is just 3 events in my life. At home I took an hour and went through my whole life and tried to parse out every event, successes and failures, and then thought about the events and then what did I learn from it and how could I have done it different, or what did I do right? What patterns led to that success? Because what I can do is take those patterns, and when I start to see that procrastination coming along, and procrastination, another word for procrastination that I learned is resistance, and that's based on Stephen Pressfield's book called War of Art. He said in resistance. So I learned that I procrastinate, and so whenever I know that I'm going to do it, I can now take this learning model and maybe avoid that. Now I'd like to tell you a story. It goes along with this, okay? And as I draw this out, see what you think this is here. So what do you think that is? Squiggly line, but it's actually sand. Okay, here's a scientist. He's wearing his hat. Okay. Here's a cactus. All right, you're in the desert now. So I'm putting you into the desert. Right here, there's a hole and there's a sand wasp. Has anybody ever heard of the sand wasp? Interesting thing, the scientists noticed that the sand wasp would fly out and find food, bring the food back, and then place it right next to the hole. Go down inside the hole and look for the boogle. Some of you have that face of what is a boogle. A boogle is something that is feared that's probably not even real. But the sand wasp would take it down, come back up. Scientists noticed he did it every time. So he moved the food each time. Baseline of the story is that the sand wasp eventually died with the food in his mouth, because he kept putting it down to look for the boogle, the fear that something that actually wasn't there, afraid of something that happened a long time ago. And that, if it resonates with you, is to pay attention to your life and those patterns that you do, and are you ready to let your dreams die in your mouth before you accomplish them? That's all I have. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Matt.